Welcome to Ordinary to Badass, episode number 321. In this episode, you are going to hear all about why you should doubt the doubters. Now, so often in life, we find ourselves with people that doubt us and doubt our abilities. And it can be hard when you're trying a new venture, doing something different, or pursuing a passion, a dream, and then people want to come and doubt you. And they're like, really? You think you can do that? Would you be good at that? Or they make just little jerk or asshole comments, right? And then it like gets us down. It gets in our way. And a lot of times we stop that. We let it stop us from pursuing greatness. And so that's why the whole philosophy is to doubt the doubters. We so often just take what they say and we take it as gold instead of saying, wait a minute, what's behind this? Why are they really saying this? So, as badasses, it is our job to doubt the doubters. It is our job to not just take things at face value. So that's what we're going to work on really digging in, diving into what people are saying to us. And when they're saying things where they're doubtful of our abilities, then that's where we're going to challenge them. That's where we're going to challenge ourselves. We're not going to just like accept what they say as the truth. And we're not going to just go home and pout about it, right? No, that might be their truth, but it doesn't mean that it's your truth. And so today, that's what we're going to talk about is the doubting Thomases. And, I looked that up. I've heard it. I think maybe it has a religious background. I don't know. But really, when you go to Wikipedia, a doubting Thomas is a skeptic who refuses to believe without direct personal experience. And I feel like that says it perfectly. A skeptic who refuses to believe without direct personal experience. When people are doubting you, they just don't have personal experience in that area. So they're telling you from the best of their ability or from their experience in life, but that doesn't mean that it has to be true or accurate for you. So to really think about that a minute, right? And when people are telling us stuff, don't just say, okay, yeah, sure, that's true. And I'm such a piece of crap and I can't ever do it. And no, true for them, not true for you. So focus on that part of it. And one big thing, one tip, when people doubt your abilities, question everything. Like I said, we don't have to take it at face value. We're going to start asking questions and really digging in, diving in, get curious, right? But if questioning everything, maybe that sounds paranoid to you. I don't know. But it's not. It's just about curiosity and then start wondering. And what does this do for you by being curious, by asking questions? Guess what? It helps you to overcome imposter syndrome. That's number one. So when you get doubts from other people, it can trigger a feeling of imposter syndrome, like I'm not enough type thing. That's what imposter syndrome is, feeling like you're not enough and you're a fraud, where it causes you to start doubting what you're capable of. But if you start questioning those doubts that people are saying, then you can challenge imposter syndrome and really gain a more realistic perspective on your skills and accomplishments. And then the second thing that getting curious and asking questions does for you is that it builds like resilience and determination, because when you start to question everything, then you, instead of just accepting doubt and you don't accept it as the truth and it doesn't become a barrier that's in your way, but you use it as motivation and you use it to prove to yourself that you can work harder towards your goals. And it's like, yeah, you can use their doubt to deter you, or you can use it to push you to your goals. So that's up to you. What do you want to do? Go badass style, right? Use it to push you to your goals as opposed to deter you to your goals or deter you from your goals. So something else to remember is when someone's doubting you, they're actually doubting their own abilities, and it reflects on their own lack of belief in themselves. I think that it's important to remember here that you are not defined by other people's doubts, and their opinions don't determine your worth. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. You are not defined by other people's doubts, and their opinions don't determine your worth. So when someone doubts you, it's critical to remember that you are not defined by their skepticism, that your worth and potential aren't determined by that person over there. They're not determined by your parents. They're not determined by your family. They're not determined by the people around you, the people you work with. They don't determine that for you. Their opinions, it's just that. It's their opinions. But remember, you're on your own journey. Their doubts are a reflection of their own limitations. It's like what they see when they get to the mirror every morning, their own doubts. That's what they're looking at. So let them have those doubts, but it doesn't have to be for you. And so just sitting there and realizing, okay, people are going to have their doubts, but that's them. That's based on their experience. Kind of like the doubting Thomas we talked about, right? They only believe what is in front of their face. They only believe what they have experienced in the past. And so recognizing that kind of takes a little bit of the sting out of it, or a little bit of the burn, right? Because it hurts. Nobody's saying it's not going to hurt when somebody doubts you. It hurts, it stings, it sucks, right? But then when you can kind of put it into perspective and say, oh, wait, that's just based on their experience. It's what they think is capable for them, not for me. And so I think that kind of helps to have it not hurt so bad. Or I don't know about you, but sometimes things will just go around. You ruminate about it in your head, right? It goes through your mind over and over. But when you can kind of put it in a perspective, like, nope, that's based on their experience, not my experience. That's what they see for themselves. It doesn't mean that's what's true for me. So sometimes it's just a little switch, just a little flip of the way we're thinking of something in our brain. And that can really help to change things for us and change the trajectory. Words are hard. So have a plan. You're pursuing badassery. You know what? A lot of people are not. And so doing that, you can expect that there are going to be haters. There are going to be doubters. People are going to have things to say about it, right? So have a plan. In moments of doubt, then recite like a saying to yourself, a mantra, if you will. Like, I am a badass. Just remember, I am a badass. I am a badass. And then if someone says something to doubt your abilities, you can also say, well, that might be their belief, but that's not my truth. That's their belief, but it's not my truth. And we have to say these things to ourselves to remind ourselves that we can overcome hard things. We can overcome the naysayers and the haters and the doubters. We can do that, but we're not going to just let them have the last word in our mind, right? And so in our mind, we're going to remind ourselves we are badasses and that it's their belief, not your truth. And so you have these things planned ahead of time. So when a situation happens, you can just go to your journal or wherever you wrote it down and then say those things to yourself, right? I am a badass. I am a badass. I am a badass. Or that's what they believe. It's not my truth. And just saying little things to yourself to kind of boost your energy and to remind yourself, like, that's not true. Don't get sucked into their drama, right? How miserable they must be. I don't know about you, but I don't go around doubting people. And even if I am not sure that it's really true, I usually don't tell them. Like, if they have big dreams and want to accomplish something, what is wrong with that? Why can't they have big dreams? Why can't they try to accomplish the things they want to accomplish? Why is it my place to tell them? And I can't remember the quote. I'm trying to think of the quote. There was a quote by Denzel Washington, like, about the only people that are griping about where you are is people that are below you, or that sounds wrong saying below you, but like the people that are working harder than you aren't the ones griping. They're not the ones doubting you. It's the people who aren't working hard at all that are the ones that are doubting you, usually. So, like, okay, when you're in the arena, you come back to me and talk to me, right? Like, when you're out there doing this stuff yourself, you come back and talk to me. But until then, and even if they are doing it themselves, like, even if they are in the arena, okay, still, you can still take it with a grain of salt. But usually it's people that are not doing anything. And so clearly they can't see it, right? Clearly it's not possible for them because they just won't allow it to be. Okay. Here's the thing. If I could give you one thing, it would be belief in yourself. Belief in yourself is so powerful. It's so badass, really. But we forget how important our belief in ourself is. It's like external support from other people, from friends, from family, that's well and good. I love external support. All of us do, right? But it's not as powerful as the cheerleader in yourself, the cheerleader that you have within. Now, there have been many guests on the Ordinary to Badass podcast who talked about that and say, you know what? I cheerlead myself. I talk to myself. Why am I not remembering her name? I remember her last name was Ayala. Her episode was so good because she was such a cheerleader for herself. Carolina Ayala, I think it was. And she was so good at just like talking to herself, pumping herself up, writing down things that were like great about herself and that were badass about herself, and just really paying attention to that kind of thing. And Rebecca Kordecki with the Wall of Badassery, and writing down things that she had overcome and done that were badass, so that she could look back and reflect on that and be like, oh yeah, that was pretty badass. Like I did a good job. And so find these little ways to cheer yourself on. Instead of looking for validation from everybody else, really, it's got to come from here. If you're not happy with yourself, then it's hard. Nobody else being happy with you is going to matter. Nobody else being upset with you is going to matter. Like you got to figure it out within. That's first and foremost. So like when you're going through something hard, be like, okay, come on, Marie, you got this. You can do this. This is hard, but I know that you can get through this. You have gotten through other hard things before, like just sitting there talking yourself up, or talking to yourself like you would a child or your best friend. Like, I am so proud of you right now for getting through this hard time. Like, just talk to yourself, right? It's amazing. The things that we're saying to ourselves in our head, it's either going to derail us or it's going to help us keep pushing forward and staying on track. So you're not crazy if you talk to yourself. Everybody talks to themselves, but oftentimes we think like, oh, only crazy people are talking to themselves. No, cheer yourself on, talk away. That's badass. I'm sorry. Kono wants to make an appearance. Yes, my dog Kono wants to make an appearance, apparently. I'm going to let him out so he doesn't keep disrupting this podcast. I have fans going, so it's kind of loud out there. Okay. Yeah, he wanted to get a say apparently, but just remember, the validation has to come from within, and you really have to cheer yourself on because that's what's going to propel you the furthest. Okay. I keep saying okay. That's my word of the night. Yeah. Another thing to remember is like, you are not defined by other people's doubts. Their opinions don't determine your worth. Now, I'm going to tell you, it's not easy to ignore other people's opinions, their doubts, their thoughts about you. And so how do you navigate those moments? What do you do? And it's just acknowledging it, like acknowledge that hurt my feelings. And maybe it's because we think there's some seed of truth in it, even if it's not true, right? We might just believe our own limitations. So then just acknowledge it, like acknowledge that it stings, acknowledge that you might have thought there was a grain of truth or something, and that kind of hit you harder or pierced your heart a little bit harder, right? And then realize it doesn't define your past, or it doesn't define your path. What you do doesn't, or what somebody else says doesn't define your path. I don't know. I'm a little distracted tonight, so bear with me. But yeah, so try to remember the times that you proved other people wrong, that you exceeded somebody else's expectations. Think of those times from your past. Like, oh, they said I couldn't do it. I did it. You know what? Sometimes we're our own worst doubters. So it's like, oh, I thought I couldn't do it, but I did it. Just take it in, think about it. And then when you come up with those moments where you didn't think you could do something and you did it anyway, write those down. Write those down. That could even be on your wall of badassery, right? So then when you're feeling doubt, then you go back to those past moments of doubt where you didn't think you could do something, but you did it anyway. So you think about that time and the excitement from doing it anyway, and you apply that to whatever you're going through now. When you're going through a stressful time or when you're feeling a ton of doubt, somebody else says something to you about you not being able to do it or you not being capable or not being good enough, whatever the thing is, then you go back to that time where you did something you didn't think you could do before. You're like, you're wrong because I've done it. And then prove them wrong, right? Prove them wrong. Use it to fuel your fire. Don't let it take you down. Let it fuel your fire. Because our past triumphs are so important and so helpful for helping us to push past these hard times. Then remember, you know what? Got to give ourselves some self-compassion. Don't have to be so hard on ourselves. Take a moment, breathe. Give yourself, maybe you need to take a hot bath or you need some hot chocolate or a glass of wine or something, right? And just give yourself some self-compassion. Just be aware, okay, self-doubt is normal. I am human, so I'm gonna feel this way. It's gonna pop up from time to time. What can I do about it now? Where can I go from here? What questions can I ask? Remember, get back to the curiosity, right? But instead of being hard on yourself, even if you are hard initially, when you realize it, just like, okay, I'm gonna recognize that happened, that stung, but now I'm gonna go on. And instead of berating ourselves or feeling unsure, or treating ourselves harshly, then we're going to turn to ourselves with kindness. We're just going to notice what's going on, notice what we're feeling, and then turn to ourselves with kindness and speak to ourselves like it's your best friend or it's your family member, right? Or your child. All right. Everybody else isn't going to understand your vision. They're not going to understand what you have planned for your life. But you know what? It's your vision for your life. So that's all that matters. Other people don't have to understand. They can be there, they can bear witness even with their doubts, but they don't have to understand. Ultimately, you have to answer to you. And when you're on your deathbed and you're thinking of all the things that you should have done in your life, then you're going to hope that you weren't doubting yourself. You're going to hope you didn't let that doubt from other people stop you. You can be like, no, I knew I was a badass. I stood up for myself. I worked for the things that I wanted. And I pushed past the haters, the doubters, the critics. Because there was no time for that. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what I loved doing. So try that. Think of that kind of thing, right? What do you want to be able to say when it's your time to go? Do you want to be able to say that you're flimsy and just kind of let other people tell you what you could or couldn't do? Or do you want to say, no, I stood for what I wanted. I pursued what I wanted to no end, right? I was fierce in my determination about hitting my goals, about living the life that I wanted to live. So I want you to remember, the only approval that you need is the approval from yourself. Not what other people say, not what other people want you to do, but for yourself. And when someone doubts you, remember, it's a reflection of their own insecurities. It's not a reflection of your abilities. You are a badass, and your belief in yourself is the one thing that matters. So embrace your resilience, embrace your determination. Try to surround yourself with people that are positive, people that are going to lift you up, not people that are going to doubt you. And if they do, if you say they're family members and you're not going to get away from them, okay, prove them wrong. Prove them wrong. It's your life. It's your badassery. And so it's your badassery to own, right? This is your choice. So if you choose to let the doubters take you on or take you down, that's up to you. But if you choose to pursue your badassery, it's your birthright. It's yours. It's right here for you. So let it go, right? What the doubters are saying, let it go. So, my fellow badasses, go out there and show the world what you are made of. Doubt the doubters. They don't know what they're talking about. And remember, the only approval you need is from yourself. Stay true to yourself, stay on your path, and don't let other people's doubts hold you back. Or don't let other people's doubts hold you back. Okay, my badass friends, thank you. I know I kind of went off on this one, but like I'm super passionate about doing the things you want to do, about pursuing your badassery and saying, forget you to the doubters, to the people who, really can't see your vision. It's not for them, right? It's for you. With that, we'll end our show. To all the badass women out there staying in the arena, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, own it and get after it.
Now that you've listened to this episode of Ordinary to Badass, we want to hear from you. Go to our website, ordinarytobadass.com/podcast, and submit your own experience on how you took your life from ordinary to badass and get the chance to be on a future Spotlight episode of the show. That's ordinarytobadass.com/podcast. While you're waiting for the next episode of the show, wipe off the sweat, dust off the dirt, and get back in the arena.